What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with birthday boy Mike Gallagher for the 6-game slate. Mike, happy birthday to you. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, nice way to start the birthday. Hiked Camelback Mountain this morning, and Sam treated me to a nice breakfast at this kind of fancy pants hotel that's like right by
Nice.
where Camelback is. It was really good. I got this like egg sandwich with lemon aioli. Had this like tomato jam. It's like really fancy sandwich. So yeah,
Beautiful.
really good way to start the day. Feeling pretty good.
Beautiful. Love to see it. 6 games on the docket. Plenty of injury information to take in. So let's get to it. Let's start with Chicago and Philadelphia. On the Chicago side of things, Nikola Vucevic remains out with that left abductor strain. Zach LaVine out as well. Torrey Craig out as well. Zach LaVine working with the G Leaguers now on his road back. What other notes do you have on the Bulls?
Oh yeah, just Drummond season. He's been just insane on the boards, and that's kind of it. We saw a little bit of small ball stuff. Curious to see how they kind of attack that. But yeah, pretty straightforward here. How small they're going to go, and as you mentioned, Levine kind of trending in the right direction here. Still think he's probably multiple weeks away. Just started straight line running, a week and a half ago or so. But yeah, pretty straightforward. I would assume he continues to play a ton off the bench. They're getting pretty consistent minutes out of Caruso with this little short stint thing they've been running, and obviously Kobe White. The wrist injury has kind of damped down his shooting, but the minutes are there, so that's all we could really ask for. And thanks everyone for the birthday wishes. Appreciate it.
You are beloved, sir. Philadelphia side of things, Robert Covington listed out, D'Anthony Melton out as well. Those are two of their kind of key wing pieces. Joel Embiid not listed on the injury report, so we'll get the return of Joel Embiid as we had just been having rumors, discussions around the games requirement for the MVP race. Joel's back in our lives. So what notes do you have on the 76ers?
Yeah, off the ankle should be pretty full. They usually, when he's not dealing with like a soft tissue, they usually go pretty full. We've seen the back thing kind of bite him, and they go right into it. So yeah, should be good to go. But yeah, who starts for Melton is the next question, and I kind of think they would go a little bit bigger with Kelly Oubre as like a 2, Tobias, and then they're probably going to bring in Marcus Morris for the wing defense. They seem to like him, so he would probably pick up the DeMar assignment. And yeah, maybe we see some KJ Martin. Beverly will be a pretty big piece. I would expect him to play minutes in the mid-20s. And then we'll see if they go to Daniel House. They probably are, considering that they're a little thin on wing defense here.
Your expectation for starting lineup though is Oubre Oubre and
I think Marcus Morris.
Marcus Morris. Okay.
Yeah, it could be Batum too, but I think Morris makes. They seem to really like Morris. Like Nick Nurse's kind of player, but it could definitely be Batum.
Yeah, and then those guys, the minutes should be pretty decent there between those two. We'll see if KJ Martin gets involved or not, but I mean, just generally, they have plenty of room without Melton to fill these minutes with just a lot of bigger wings. So should be interesting to watch there. Okay, Brooklyn and the Pelicans. Brooklyn side of things, still without Lonnie Walker and Ben Simmons, of course, without their G Leaguers as well. They've listed Dorian Finney-Smith as available with left knee soreness. What notes do you have on Brooklyn tonight?
Yeah, he got the probable tag. Dorian Finney-Smith did and upgraded this morning to available. Good to go. We saw him kind of hokey pokey a little bit. But yeah, expecting him to start in the spot. I pulled the wrong box score, I think, here. But yeah, that should be pretty much good to go. I expect that we saw the funky little the Mikal Bridges stuff, but he's back to full minutes. They're going to continue to just kind of trot guys out there. This is the most recent one when they switched the starting lineup. So expecting that to be the case here. We saw Jacques Vaughn say they were going to do that in the new year. Was a game early there. So, but yeah, that's kind of straightforward.
All right, let's move to the New Orleans side where Trey Murphy is questionable with left knee soreness. Cody Zeller listed as available. We saw Larry Nance play really well last game. So what are your thoughts on what we can see from the Pelicans tonight?
Yeah, should note, Trey missed the last game, and this is the same knee where he had meniscus surgery. That's a concern, right? So we'll see how they manage him here. Yeah, as you mentioned, Larry Nance was awesome. Played, he's going to fill in for the non I think that he's clearly ahead of Zeller, so I don't think Zeller, even though if he's in, is going to even play. But yeah, Zion's kind of playing better. Herb Jones minutes are a little bit more secure. Alvarado get a little bit of overlap. So yeah, they've got some depth for Trey. But yeah, keep an eye on this. Definitely don't want him to chance it with the knee thing. And then talked about this too. He was getting better odds than Bobby Portis was for 6-man because the margins are so on Trey because he's missed so many games. I don't think he's gonna get the game count. So yeah, they got to take it easy.
With Larry Nance Jr., it was interesting to see some overlap with him and oh, actually no, there wasn't any overlap. Sorry, yeah. I was looking at Zion's minutes there. But just generally, the ability to play at the 4 is kind of interesting to unlocking Larry Nance's upside, and it's more likely to come in these scenarios where they're down other bodies. That was against a bigger lineup. Against Brooklyn, probably not going to see it. You're probably going to see the straight 48 split between Joe Val and Larry Nance would be my guess. But what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's probably a straight 48 for the most, especially if no Trey. They might go smaller, but I think that's kind of the default situation. If a game flow goes a certain way, maybe they go a different route, but I would expect them to cover the 48. And it should note, I was looking for Trey Murphy notes, and I don't want to pull up some this Larry Nance who just killed me. He was making fun of Trey Murphy. He's like, "You're out here doing this for free, googling salary of a clown." Like, oh god. I'm definitely using that. Using that. It's too good.
The previous video, the reply to is Trey burning Larry Nance for making a reference on air that could have been misconstrued, and Trey Murphy having a very strong reaction to that on air. So you can check that out after watching our show here. All right, Boston and Oklahoma City, the game of the night. Boston side of things, no one listed on the injury report. We've seen a lot of Boston players listed on the injury reports of late. I'm really excited that there's nobody listed on the injury report tonight, really for either side of this game. So it looks like we're going to get 2 fully healthy teams, both rested, not playing off back-to-backs here. So what are your notes for Boston tonight?
Yeah, pretty much good to go. I don't really have anything to say. The Drew Elwell things, is fine. Don't really have much else to add. As you said, this is the game of the night, 4-point spread. Sam and I talked a lot about this. He feels really good about OKC, getting points. I don't know, man. Tough bet for sure. Boston's legit. So I'm not gonna probably partake in this game on spread.
Yeah, Boston's always a pretty difficult team to bet just in general because there's so much 3-point variance with them from game to game that like their ceiling is so high. So really difficult team to bet just generally. Oklahoma City side of things, Lindy Waters and Olivier Sarr listed as probable, but they're not rotation players. So really no notes from the injury perspective. Any rotation notes you want to talk through on OKC?
No, I don't think so. We kind of, not back to back, or no, they do play tomorrow, I think. No, I forget. Sorry. Anyways, make sure actually confirm that.
It is front end. It is front end.
Front end. Yep. For them. Yeah, there's 7 teams on the front end today. They are 1, so that could deepen the rotation a little bit. That said, I mean, it's a big game, so they might play it pretty tight, and then maybe in Atlanta kind of handle guys differently. But it's on the table that they add a deep rotation in the back-to-back. We've seen Dagnall.
Yeah, it's certainly on the table in a back-to-back, but I'm with you. I think they're going to view this as a measuring stick game, and so I think you'll see this played in a very normal fashion and deal with the consequences tomorrow if they need to adjust anything, because they only get to play Boston twice during the course of the year. These teams in the Eastern Conference, I think it's sort of important to like measure up and just see where you're at, and especially for a young team that's playing so well early in the season. So, and has come off some really big wins of late with Minnesota and Denver. So I think you're going to see not playoff level rotation minutes, but I think you're going to see like normal, more condensed starting rotation minutes tonight. All right, San Antonio and Memphis. On the San Antonio side of things, Keldon Johnson listed probable. Zach Collins is out. He's going to be out for a few weeks. Dominic Barlow and Mamadi Diakite listed as questionable. What are your notes on what the Spurs look like in the absence of Zach Collins?
Yeah, so we know Wemby's still going to be on a minutes limit, so that opens up a lot of minutes as the backup 5. So that's really 2 players we're looking at. Sandro Mamukavashvili should be considered the heavy favorite, and Dom Barlow, who is questionable for a G League assignment. The Austin Spurs are in Ontario, California, just east of LA. So something to watch there. We'll be on G League Tracker later today. Their last game was December the 28th at home. So, but Barlow was with the team, so we kind of knew where he was. But keep an eye on that for sure. If they rule out Barlow, that's pretty good for Sandro, who could play a little bit of 4. I won't be surprised. And maybe they need the size here, so he'd be kind of someone interesting that we'll be talking about later. And then they're kind of stuck with this lineup here. Keldon Johnson missed the last game for lower back spasm. Should be good, but keep an eye on that. They are pretty committed to this bench lineup. But I would expect Wemby to have a limit for a while. 1, 2, 3 weeks. I don't think we'll see him kind of touch 30 for maybe 3, 4, 5 games.
Yeah, they've said for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
I think there's a range on what this limit could be, though. We've seen it stick around 24 right now. I think it's probably around there for another game or two, but I think it will inch up to like 26, 27. I think it'll then inch up to 28, 29. I think it'll probably stop at 30. I think that's probably where we're heading on this whole thing, that it like stops at 30 from a minutes limit perspective.
Yeah.
And he's not going to play back-to-backs, and they're going to manage things. But I think that's where we're heading on this whole thing. So even though there's a minutes limit, he can put up outrageous fantasy numbers in a very, very quick period of time. I don't know if you saw the Meta World Peace interview where he predicted that at some point in the future, he believes Wembanyama will score over 100 in a game, because he said he's going to get bigger and stronger, and it's just going to be impossible to stop him. And they're going to run into some of these bad teams, and one night he's just going to go out there and get 30 dunks, and he's going to end up with 100 points. So even on a minutes limit, you could see some really big numbers from Wemby, but I would expect that minutes limit to be in check for a while. Keldon, do you think anything changes from Keldon's perspective coming back off the injury with the probable tag here tonight?
Probably just not as much minute ceiling on him at the bench role. So that's, we're going to account for some of that. I just don't think they're going to run him out there for a really, really long rotation. And if you're playing off the bench, you kind of need long rotations to kind of get there.
Yep. All right. Memphis side of things, relatively tame injury report for Memphis, all things considered here. Without Jake LaRavia, Gigi Jackson, Jacob Gilyard, all on G League assignment, and without Brandon Clark and Steve Adams, who they're going to be without for, if not all the year, on Brandon Clark, probably most of the year. So what are your notes on the Grizzlies tonight?
Yeah, healthiest they've been. They got Luke Kennard back in the last game. Looked like he was pretty straight capped at 20. We'll expect that to continue here. And then the centers. This is tricky here. We saw Biyombo 2 games ago start and then not start the second half. Then last game, Xavier Tillman didn't sub in until like 3-4 minutes left in the third quarter when the game was kind of out of hand. So very odd. And then we saw a real short rotation from Biyombo to start the third quarter. So this is a mess. I wouldn't be surprised if they go smaller. Probably not going to do it here, though, with Wemby in the first unit. Teams don't really like to play small against him. So, but yeah, this is a nightmare to try to analyze. And then if you do want to play Kennard and Vince Williams minutes got cut, if you want to play those guys, the easiest way to do it is just play smaller. But they don't really like to play Jaren at the 5. So yeah, tough. And Santi Aldama's minutes haven't gone anywhere. Zaire Williams is toast. Konchar's toast. Roddy pretty close to toast. So that while they are healthy, the back end of the rotation's just like a kind of a log jam. It's pretty tough to parse through.
Yep. I see someone in chat asking if we provide projections and analysis for Owner's Box. These smaller DFS sites, in terms of specific sites that we provide content and analysis for, it's FanDuel and DraftKings. We provide projections for Yahoo as well available, but we have full statistical projections of every player. So you can transpose that into any scoring system site with a little bit of Excel work on your own. But we do not cater to all of the smaller sites with content and analysis and whatnot. It's geared towards the largest, most liquid sites. Okay, on to Charlotte and Sacramento. On the Charlotte side of things, they have not submitted on the second night of back-to-back. I'd expect Terry Rozier to pop up with a questionable tag once again, if not ruled out immediately. While he was downgraded midday yesterday, the quotes around Terry Rozier seemed like it was still potentially even a long shot to play in Sacramento tonight. What other notes do you have on Charlotte?
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to miss. There was commentary from Clifford saying that how shorthanded they are. So that's kind of the story. We saw Ish start the last game and expect him to start again. A little bit of Nick Smith Jr., and then that's mostly the guys. And we saw Cody Martin play a pretty good bit, who's been benefiting from Gordon Hayward. You mentioned Gordon Hayward's still out for at least another week, I would say. There. Then Miles Bridges just went ham on the last game. Miller's minutes been pretty solid, but yeah, Ish Smith should handle most of the minutes. That's pretty much it. So yeah, again, and I think as I mentioned, Cody Martin's minutes are starting to come up a little bit just because they really need the wing defense. We saw him not get too managed when they had a back-to-back set last week coming off injury, so he could kind of low-key benefit. He's just a better player than Bryce McGowan's is.
Yeah, I was surprised that some of the main guys were still playing fairly deep into the fourth quarter. I think the final subs came with about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter as they went into that fourth quarter down 23. Didn't look like they had much of a pulse going, and they were on the front end of a back-to-back. So just a note that there's not a lot of confidence in playing the secondary backup guys here as much. So second night of back-to-back, maybe the plug gets pulled a little bit earlier, but I was surprised it wasn't pulled early last night. Sacramento filed nothing on the injury report, so we've got nothing there. Any notes on the Kings?
Yeah, we do got to talk about the rotation change, and should just note really quick on the Hornets. We talk about this all the time. Steve Clifford is a late plug puller, and because his team does lose a lot, we have a pretty big sample on that. So yeah, lineup change here. Man, Kevin Huerter's down bad. Like you can't get starts over Chris Duarte. Sounds like this is going to stick. They got to get him going. He's just playing so poorly. Didn't really affect Monk from a usage and a output standpoint, but those minutes got cut a little bit. Like you'd rather, like you're inserting Duarte and you're just kind of affecting the other guys' minutes. We'll see if Harrison Barnes' minutes were cut. It's quite clear. Like those guys are like, obviously Herter's really on notice. He's not even on notice anymore. He's like got the news.
Yeah.
How Harrison Barnes could be on notice too. We've seen them play some of the Trey Lyles, multi-big lineups playing like Keegan is a 2. I'm curious how much longer they could last with Harry B in there. And then we saw a Davion Mitchell leapfrog Keon Ellis as well. So that's a tricky rotation. But yeah, expecting, no reason to not start. They had a, pretty easy win over the Grizzlies.
Yep. All right. Orlando and Golden State, last game of the slate to talk through. Markelle Fultz listed questionable for Orlando. Joe Ingles and Jonathan Isaac are listed out already. We've seen this Markelle Fultz questionable tag a couple times, and he hasn't been able to get back on the court yet. What are your expectations here?
Yeah, if he's in, he's going to be crazy capped. I would say he doesn't even start. I think they would just bring him off the bench. So that would trim down, the double big overlap they've been running. Would take Caleb Houston out for sure. It would cut down Cole Anthony's minutes a little bit. Anthony Black's minutes ceiling would come down. Suggs minutes, it would just be a bit of a jam. And this, as you mentioned yesterday, this is like why, Cole, I think, has no shot to win 6-man. But I would expect a pretty hard cap for him. But yeah, this, back to back, definitely expect him this is kind of just like they're being careful. So, but yeah, again, I expect N with a pretty hard cap.
Yeah, front end of a back-to-back for Orlando here. And should note also, they made a little bit of a rotation change last game. So it was without Jonathan Isaac. It was without Joe Ingles, which is again the case again tonight. I don't know what's going to happen when those guys are back in the mix because they just have too many guys. But they shifted Mo Wagner to basically a power forward, essentially, and had him compete there. Wendell Carter Jr., we couldn't get Wendell Carter Jr. to 24 minutes in a starting role, but as soon as he goes to the bench, we get him at up to 24 minutes. Him and Goga combined for 46 of the 48 center minutes there. What are your expectations in terms of this front court and how things shake out?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm very frustrated by this Wendell Carter Jr. stuff with the minutes. But I don't know why they wouldn't bring him off the bench again. Like that's clearly for what the hand injury. This is so weird, man. But expecting him to kind of come off the bench again, I guess. But I'm not confident at all in really anything. I don't like half this rotation. Besides the high end guys, it's pretty tough to be confident about anything.
Yeah, and the matchup against Phoenix wasn't a super big one, so maybe they're not going to be as comfortable with like Mo Wagner at the 4. I know they did that 2 years ago, that they were pretty comfortable with Mo Wagner at the 4. It's a long time ago in terms of when they were comfortable there. But he's a pretty impactful like usage player. So if he's trending out or towards out of the rotation, it's something to take note. And him and Franz have played really well together, the brothers. So I'm like really interested to see how this whole thing shakes out, because I don't think they ever intended for Goga Batadze to like make an impact enough to like cut into this rotation, and now it's gotten kind of messy. So just something to keep an eye on down the road. I think there's a chance that Mo Wagner's minutes ranges are like 0 to 20 on a given night, just really, really wide. Golden State side of things, Draymond Green still out with the league suspension. No other notes on their injury report, though. They've generally had, this is the cleanest it's been in a while. No Chris Paul on there, no Pods on there, no Wiggins on there. So what are your notes on the New Look Warriors who started Trace Jackson Davis last game against the Mavs?
Yeah, and it's going to stick. Kurt said they're going to keep rolling it out there. As you mentioned, Draymond for a little bit longer. He's starting to do some stuff with the team. So on the right track. Obviously, new situation. We don't have any idea when he's going to be back. But yeah, Kuminga will continue to start. Trace Jackson will start for sure. They're going to keep Chris Paul in the first unit. But, they shot terrible in this game, and they had some silly, silly mistakes, which is just happens just way, 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 way too often, man. Like it's for such a veteran team to make this many mistakes. It's a tough scene. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like we saw Pods, we had an over on him and felt like really nervous, but he got there on minutes like really strong. So the role's really strong for him. Andrew Wiggins' role is pretty good. Curious to see how Looney fits here. We talked about him being like a 0 as a possible thing, which is kind of one reason we were a little bit worried about taking some Trace stuff on the under. But I could see him cratering, man. Like they've got maybe get like one rotation just to keep your streak going. But it's kind of bad out here for Kavan.
Yeah, the other thing that I'd note here in this game in particular, they had 0 answers defensively. Luka would just pull up whoever he wanted. It was like playoff basketball, basically. Like pull up whoever he wants, gets a screen, gets switched onto them, shoots over them. Like it happened over and over and over again. Long term, if Kuminga is not a guy who's going to be like the guy that they can count on to defend people, and even in those instances, it's tough when you're switching, when your defensive concept is switching. I don't know how they make the whole thing work. Like it just does. Like they need 2 defenders in the starting lineup, and right now they have half a defender in the starting lineup because Clay is no longer really a defender, and Kuminga is spotty with the defensive awareness. And so when they get Dre back, they'd have 1 for sure, and maybe Dre's communication and stuff will like make up for everything else. But they are really missing the version of Andrew Wiggins that defended for them and did all the little things. And it's showing up. And I think the offense is going to be better with this unit, but the defense is going to be a big, big question mark with this unit because like Trace has defensive limitations. Chris Paul and Steph Curry have defensive limitations. Clay is no longer a plus defender. It's just a real big challenge for Golden State. And I think this lineup change is basically saying like, we think our only chance is outscoring you now.
Yep.
So we're going to go that route. So just be on notice that until Dre gets back, you might also get Warriors games in a little bit more higher scoring paced environments just because of the way that things are going there.
Yep.
Okay. That'll do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, if you're enjoying the content that we provide here, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live, hit that bell, and helping us reach our goal of 5,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the NBA season. If you're interested in finding our premium content behind the paywall, you can check out establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA for more details on the packages that we offer supporting NBA information and analysis. You can find myself and Mike Gallagher behind the paywall tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, breaking down this slate from a DFS perspective. And of course, if you love the content that we're providing here for free and want to support us, the best way to do that is to help us feed our families by feeding that algorithm and smashing that like button. You smash the like button, it feeds our families, allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need each and every day to set your season-long lineups, your DFS lineups, and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So smash that like button, especially on Mike Gallagher's birthday. You got to give him the birthday present. I mean, Psalm's out here getting him fancy egg sandwiches. You can at least get him a like. It's the least you could do for the man's birthday. So smash that like button, feed that algo. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.